Hello everyone, this is Sheila Shaffie and welcome back to another episode by ProcessArc. I want to start this video with a simple question, which is, who do you think your customers are? Now, I haven't lost my mind, nor is this really a trick question, but it's an important one for us to have consensus around, particularly as process engineers or as people that are on steering committees tasked with selecting the next technology solution that we're going to implement in our companies, or as people tasked with innovation, new products and new service development. And sometimes the answer is not as easy as we think it is, particularly because we've been taught all along that there are two types of customers: internal customers and external customers. But I would argue that there's really only one customer, the ultimate customer, the one that is willing to pay for our products and services. And they're the ones that we need to keep in mind every time we're considering a change, an implementation of a new technology, or a development and a release of a new product. But before I jump in to my hypothesis as to why I think there's really only one ultimate customer, regardless of the industry that we're in and how we distribute our products and services, let me stop and explain what an internal and an external customer is for all of you that may not be familiar with these terminologies. Now let's start with an example, and we can make this as industry neutral as possible, because if we really think about it at a high level, regardless of whether we're in financial services, manufacturing, or healthcare, we've got something like an order that comes in, a request that comes in. We have to process that order, schedule that order, make to that order, and then ultimately push it out through our distribution channels so that it can ultimately get to the customer. So in this situation, the example is around a customer that's looking to open up a new account. The sales team or the financial rep is going to compile all the data that they need in order to process that application. They send it over to the next department where the underwriting team is going to make a determination and risk score that application to make sure that that's a client worthy of them having on the books. Then it goes to the operations team for final processing and generation of a welcome kit, and out the door it goes to the customer, and the customer gets whatever it was that they were applying for. So in this situation, the internal customers are essentially the financial rep or the salesperson, the underwriting team, and the operations team. So in this situation, the underwriting team is the customer, is the internal customer to sales, and the operations team is the internal customer to both underwriting and sales. But the ultimate customer is the person that actually requested the product and service and is going to give money in exchange for the product and service that they got from you. Now, why am I saying that it's really important for us to start walking away from the idea of internal customers? I have two reasons. Number one is that when we start focusing on internal customer and meeting the expectations and the requirements of an internal customer, we run the risk of forgetting about the ultimate customer's requirements. There have been many instances where we start examining a business process and we start asking questions around, well, why do you need this data point collected? Or why do we need this additional form signed by the customer? And the answer comes back, well, because compliance wanted it, because legal wanted it, because it was another requirement that underwriting has come up with. Then you ask the next question, why? Why are you asking for more information? And the answer typically is, well, 10 years ago, 1,000 years ago, something went wrong with an application, and now we've decided to up the level of our process control and ask for additional information to make sure nothing goes wrong again. Here's an example where, while we are trying to protect ourselves, while we are trying to think that we're controlling the process better, we're actually inadvertently putting more burden on the customer and most likely slowing the process down. The second reason why I don't like the idea of internal customers and figuring out what their expectations and needs are is because it fundamentally reinforces the silo concept that I've got sales, then I've got underwriting, then I've got operations, instead of us thinking more like a matrix, more like a pod, more like a team, that we all collectively operate and should operate in a way that consistently meets and or exceeds the customer expectations. So that every time we want to tweak something, every time we want to change a process, implement a new system, we have to stop and ask the question of, is this going to enhance the experience of the customer? Is the customer willing to pay more for this new service product change that we're actually implementing in our business? So those are the two main reasons why I think we need to fundamentally walk away from the notion that there's an internal customer versus an external customer, because we have to always keep in mind, first and foremost, the needs and the expectations of the people that are willing to buy our services and our products. So the next time you're sitting in a committee meeting where you're thinking about the next technology change that you're going to implement in your business, or before you ever change a process again within your business, stop and ask the question of, is this going to make things better for our customer? Are these changes allowing us or enabling us to better meet and exceed customer expectations? And if the answer is no, or I don't know, then I think it would be best to stop and re-examine the change. That's it for today. Sweet and short. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to get your thoughts, because I know this idea of external and internal customer has been around for a very long time. But again, as process engineers, as people leading innovation, as people implementing changes in the company or thinking about implementing changes in our company, we always have to make sure that we are looking at things from the customer's perspective. I thank you for joining me today. I look forward to your thoughts and see you next week.